Teammates, we are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the number one show on innovative teamwork. Excellent to have you. Pleasure to have you. Looking forward to having you back for more. To my regular listeners, you already know how we get down over here. We've been doing this now. Crazy to think about. 5 years, 2020, boy. We have been on a journey together. And today, again, as usual, per usual, when you hit the play button on this show, the challenge, the obstacles, whatever you feel like is getting in your way. We're here to indirectly tell you are not going through it alone. Today, I have Freddie Rappina, who is, man, from baseball to having a background as a police officer to building his own wealth management. It's like a wealth investment company. There's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of lessons to take away today. And just make sure, I'll just leave it like this. Make sure you're somewhere where you can take a lot of notes, all right? Because this is going to be a big one. So, Freddie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, and like I said, like I was telling you before we started recording, I was really tuned into a lot of the work that you do now, and the concept of that you've built in regards to playing chess as opposed to playing checkers with your finances, and really learning, and because a lot of people hear debt is a bad thing, right? So what really struck me is the fact that you never really went to school for financials, or you didn't go to college for it. It's something that you actually picked up the information as you went. And me being a sports guy, me being someone that has really leaned into sports when it comes to how I learn business, I want you to kind of dive into your baseball background a little bit, and how you grew up, some of the lessons that it taught you, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Long Island,
No
baseball
kidding.
was.
Yeah, I went to Stony Brook.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
went
I went to St. Anthony's High School,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Is it the Friars or something like
yeah,
that?
the Friars. Yeah,
There we go. I had a teammate. Shout out to Anthony if you're listening. I had a teammate that went there.
yeah. It's a great school, and baseball was everything. I mean, that's basically all I did. And I definitely would say it was a big precursor to what was going to come, right? You're playing a sport where if you fail 7 out of 10 times,
All
you're
right.
doing great. So, that really built over very well. And I was undersized. I was about 5'7", 140 pounds,
Right.
and was able to work real hard and be able to play in college at a small D2 school in Belmont Abbey in North Carolina. So that was, a goal of mine was to be able to make it to that level, and I did. And but it was, through hard work, right? And now my son plays, and he's going through. It's like living all over again that process of
Right.
failure and success. So he's 13, and that's where I am a good portion of my time. It's either here in my office or on the
On the
baseball field.
baseball diamond, right. Now, when you were in college, though, and the one thing I remember, speaking of Stony Brook, that I had to accept was, look, I'm not going to be good enough to play in the NFL. All right, I'm going to have to figure something to figure something out in regards to what I'm going to be doing with my time. And what school was it in Carolina? I'm just kind of curious.
It's called Belmont Abbey College,
Okay,
the
so
D2
my
school in
fresh,
Charlotte.
yeah, my freshman year, I went to Carson Newman in Tennessee, and
Okay,
we
yeah,
we
all right,
played some schools in Carolina, right there,
yes.
like that Virginia Carolina border or whatever. But
Mhm.
anyway, I had realized, hey, a lot of probably like you and my teammates, we realized, hey, man, we know what NFL looks like, we know what Major League looks like, we're just not it. So when it came to that transition, and when it came for time for you to kind of hang up the cleats and say, hey, look, playing is time to move on. What was it about being a police officer? What was it about that lifestyle that drew you in? And kind of walk us through that transition on, how that decision came about for you.
Yeah. Well, I originally planned on using the police department as a stepping stone for either joining the FBI or going to law school in DC. But as it turned out, I mean, it was a good fit, so I decided to stay.
Mhm.
And just again, that whole the, being able to embrace the suck a little bit
Mhm.
of the things you don't like about the job, and just plowing through it and getting things done. I think
Now,
that really helped out.
this was some content. This was all in Long Island, or did you?
No, Fairfax County,
Oh,
which
okay, yeah.
is
Well, I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, so
okay, yes. So I
we
worked
got a
in
lot. See, this is the thing, the beauty
yeah, got a lot in
of
common here.
podcasts. I had absolutely, I didn't know about all this. This is all raw, folks. I had no idea it was that. I
Yeah,
knew you were
yeah,
in Florida, but I didn't realize we came from the same area.
yes. So I mean, working here was great. I mean, like I didn't mind it. I mean, I didn't, I didn't love being a police officer. I'm not,
Right.
I can't put myself in that category, but I did certainly didn't mind it, and I didn't, enjoyed a lot of parts of the job and the
Hmm.
work. But there was definitely by I don't know, maybe my 10th, 11th year, I'm like, I really am. I want to build something, right? And I want to, and when I was early in my career, I got around some wealthy people
Right. Yeah,
and
that
learned.
actually beat me right to it. I was just gonna kind of ask you about the mentors and stuff like that, and how kind of valuable that is for a person's journey.
Yeah, and I met people who not only said it was possible, but almost like gave me the license I needed for myself that it was like okay to become wealthy. Like that's,
Right.
you don't, it shouldn't be like ashamed of wanting that.
Right.
And once that stigma was off, I like, yeah, just started learning everything I could. And by my, then I reading books at the time.
Mhm.
And then I just went to the University of Virginia to get all my certifications done, all the education for the certifications, did all that, and started a small firm. And I was helping my fellow police officers and firefighters retire and go
Mhm.
through that, and it got pretty big pretty quick. And I had two careers for about 6 years. My police station was right next to my financial office, and I was running back and forth across the street for several years there. So,
Mhm.
just as I tell people, you want to be successful at something, you got to be willing to do the things you don't want to do in order to get where you want to be.
Right.
And just you have to figure it out and keep moving.
So what were some of the things that you were helping your colleagues do? Because you're 100% right. I agree with that. When it's, you have a full-time job and then you kind of that entrepreneurial bug hits you. And trust me, I grew up in the DMV, hits a lot of you folks out there. I know the entrepreneurial bug will hit you, and very few people actually follow up with it when they start to see the hours and the fact that you're going to have to be basically working two full-time jobs.
Mm.
But like you mentioned, you were seeing a connection between what you're learning in the financial world and some of your fellow colleagues, the police officers, the firefighters, and the people who maybe, if you look at it, if you kind of look at it, you look at those jobs and like, I have a guaranteed 401k, I'm good for life, I'm set. What were some of the things that you were helping them realize that they didn't realize before, they started working with you?
Just taking advantage of their opportunities, I would say, are the biggest things. And everybody has advantages. You just have to figure out what they are
Right,
and maximize them. So that was probably the core of the business. There was like, okay, we have these benefits, we have these, these good things that some other people don't have.
right,
And how do we maximize this? And how do we make sure that, my goal for them was, I want you to retire when you want to retire.
right,
And so, and it worked out very well. I still have great support there, and the guys are great, and I'm so thankful that they entrusted
right,
me and my colleagues up
right.
there, Marie Canterbury. I want to make sure I give a shout out to her,
Yes,
and
got to give you shout outs. Got to give you shout outs.
yeah, and just build it up and do a good job and treat everybody well, no matter how little or how much they have.
Yes. Now, the benefits, we're going to have to park there for a while because what you just mentioned about people having benefits that we don't even realize, that's something I myself had to learn the hard way. I come from a fitness background where I moved to South Florida and I took two part-time jobs, no benefits.
Mm.
I had to figure it out. But now I teach. And I completely know the difference between having a job that you may have insurance policies, you may just have something that happens in case something goes wrong. So when you talk about the benefits or the advantages that everybody has available to them, can you elaborate a little bit on maybe some of the things that people have that they don't realize they have available to them and how they can potentially invest that into something that is like a reoccurring investment for them?
Well, think about it this way: if you have a like if you're in a steady field like I was, right?
Hmm.
You know, police officers don't get laid off. Just, it's not like, oh, we're
Right,
cutting,
because there's an academy, there's a, you
right?
can always.
Well, you just want to hear like you're cutting 1,000 police officers. It just like this
Right,
just doesn't happen, right? So,
right,
or firefighters or teachers, or those
right.
those public service jobs are pretty stable. So
Hmm.
your advantage is you have a stable income.
Yeah,
So
regular.
you have a little bit more leverage if you want to become an entrepreneur. You
Hmm.
have you have the access to do things, to take risks that if you just quit your job and just tried it, like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to quit everything and
Hmm.
just do that. Like, oh goodness, like you have a lot more
Gotta
risk,
eat what you
right?
kill. Gotta eat what you kill. It's that
So,
thing for
so
everybody.
yeah, so it whether how month to month how successful the firm was,
Hmm.
it didn't matter. Like as far as like my kids were still going to eat, right? So it was,
Right, you had
um,
that regular track, right? And just not to cut you off, but I want to make sure I'm making this point for the listeners as well. There was a level of responsibility that came with every check. He's not taking his check and go run into the mall and go run to the car dealership or go running to I don't know, wherever it is you run to and blow all your money in a place where you're not getting the money back. There was a responsibility to say, hey, certain things have to be put away or certain things have to be invested in order to get it back. There was research there. There was, again, not taking your regular check every 2 weeks and just, shoving it off. So,
yeah, being you got to have the goal, right? And you got to be willing to do the things to be able to achieve that goal. That is number one, right? So if for me it was reinvesting in the business, reinvesting the money the business was making back into the business, growing that up because I'm like, hey, I still have my police salary. It's you know, and my wife has her job, so it's like
mhm.
this is I can take a little more risk and reinvest and do some things. That other people can't do. So that again, that's an advantage, right?
Right,
So yeah, taking doing that stuff was really helpful in my opinion.
right.
And you know, it's getting the mindset, but I also understood the difference between checkers and chess, which
Yeah.
was the once you once you start learning chess and you embrace that as the format for your finances, the only thing I can really describe it or compare it to is like taking the red pill in the Matrix. Like,
Oh man, well we are recording this on the election in the election season. It's officially over. Well, it's the President Trump has officially been elected, and that word red pill has been has been pretty heavy, has been very frequently used over the past couple of days. So
oh,
yeah,
as I've heard it in that context. I'm
yeah,
talking about
it's
like the movie itself, like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well,
you
that's why
get
I
the
brought it up because
knowledge
I wasn't
of you're
sure.
in
I
the
wasn't
Matrix.
sure if you have heard that analogy, the red pill. Like this, a lot of people don't got red pilled with Democrats, Republicans, all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
no, no, I'm not referring it in that regard at all.
Yeah, but I mean, based on the way you're using it, it's kind of like so because you're learning something new. And I'm not here to tell you what side or who you've on. We're not going to ask you that, but it's a matter of, like you said, now instead of playing checkers, I'm playing chess just because my mind is a little more open to information, a little more open to how I'm going to structure my finances, what money, where am I going to put this here, where am I going to put that here, all that stuff. So yeah, go into it because you already kind of. I was planning on talking about it, but you already started.
Yeah, so but I don't say checkers is wrong. So
Mhm.
I just say it is. It's
It's
checkers,
checkers, yeah.
and
It's
that's
not wrong. It's just it is.
most
It is.
people are kind of force fed, or just it's just constantly what you hear is this checkers, checkers.
Hmm.
The saving and the you know long term, saving for some distant future that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I call it the golden wheelchair plan. Um,
I
and
heard,
but you
I heard
can be
that's what you said to
happy.
me. No, I
You,
was listening to you before. I was laughing when I heard you say that in a previous show.
yeah, I mean, it's just it, you can be happy playing checkers. I
Mhm.
mean, it's fine if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Just don't believe for a second that you're going to be able to achieve what a chess player is going to be able to achieve. You're not playing the same game. Like I'm a baseball guy, right?
Yeah.
And there's another sport out there that involves a bat. It's different. A ball, smaller, in a field called cricket.
Yeah.
And, but you can't get to the major leagues playing cricket.
No.
It's not the same game, even though it has some of the same
Hmm.
elements to it. Not
Right.
the same. So, yeah, so I feel like that's where in finance is like this
Mhm.
checkers mentality of, what I call middle class finance, and but then there's chess, which is a totally different game, a totally different set of rules. And I just want people to understand that there are two games, and I want people to choose whether or not they want to play the checkers game or play the chess game. Now, if you're going to play checkers, I want you to play checkers well. Nothing sucks more than being a bad checkers player.
Yeah.
You will get your butt whooped by capitalism.
Yes.
Um, but if you are looking to switch over to chess, don't believe that you shouldn't,
Hmm.
right? So like there's this almost this paternalism element to finance where it's like, oh, chess would be too hard for you.
Hmm.
It's too risky for you.
Right.
Wealth building would be too hard for you. Leave it to the adults, and you just,
Or the core, like the professionals, the one that went to school for it and all that, right? Or just
right. It is, or just people that are playing the game. Um, so it's really just what people want. So
Mhm.
I just wanted it. I had something to say there. I'm like, no, we're gonna teach people that there are two games. Which one do you want to play?
Right.
Whichever one you're gonna play, let's play it well.
So, aside from my own books, the most mentioned book on this show has been Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert
Hmm?
Kiyosaki. And the lady before you that I interviewed, she met him before he put the book out. And whenever I am working with someone and talking, actually, I was listening to you before too on a previous show when if I bring up Robert Kiyosaki, one of the things that I believe gets mentioned is that he needs debt, like he likes debt or something to that effect. And you had mentioned that on a previous show where debt, and most of the time people look at debt as a bad thing. Can you
Hmm?
clarify a little bit on what you mean when, or how people should be looking at debt as a positive way or as something that is allowing their money to work for them?
Sure. If you're gonna play checkers, if you choose to play that game and play it well, you want to be out of debt. You
Right.
want to have no debt. Um, But if you are, and like I said, just understand that you will likely not become wealthy doing that.
Right. And
Uh,
not to cut you off there, but also, and I'll just kind of give you some context because I was raised in a home where my father was the type of father that would not want me to take out any loans. Like
mhm,
he was that person who was like, don't take out any loans, don't owe anyone anything. I do believe that as much as I love him, I do believe he was more on the checker side than chess player.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and,
there's
and
nothing wrong
that
with it. I mean, obviously sent two kids to college, great home in Silver Spring, Maryland. There's nothing wrong with it. Just again,
nothing wrong with
what
it.
it is. So
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It's just that there's like a natural limitation to
yeah,
checkers.
right,
And like I said, if you want to play checkers, you want to stay out of debt. If you want to play chess,
right.
you probably you want to get into like as much debt as you possibly can.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I was like, okay, because you were teaching me something like you said as much debt as possible. Please explain
Yes, when
it.
I
Not
say
the
as
wrong.
much that is possible,
Right.
I'm talking about not over as much that without over leveraging,
Yeah, without.
without building a house of cards,
Hmm.
right? So, and that's going to be different for individual people. There's like debt capacity, which just means like the amount of debt you could um, realistically have. And then there's debt tolerance, which is of that debt capacity. How much are you willing to, you know, to
Exactly.
uh,
Right.
to use? But debt, it's like fire. If you use it correctly, heat your house, cooks your food, um, it can do great things. If you have a campfire, it's great. If you let it get out of control and let it do whatever it wants to do, it's burning absolutely everything to the ground, right? So, how you use it is more important. And when I'm using debt in this context, just so your listeners understand, I don't mean like running your credit card up at Walmart or
Right. Yeah. What do you when you say debt? Like, kind of clarifying what you mean when you say debt in
yeah.
the.
So debt in this context would be using leverage to purchase cash flowing assets, such as real estate, such as businesses, things that is going to create more income for yourself. Because in
Mhm.
my opinion, investments don't make you rich; income makes you rich,
Mhm.
right? Income is what I use to pay for my son's. travel baseball stuff and my daughter's competitive cheerleading things. It's not my investments. I don't walk up to to somebody with my statement, and that's how my son's able to do all this stuff, or my daughter for that matter.
Hmm.
It's so if you're using debt correctly to create more wealth, you're using it well, right?
Hmm.
If you're using it to buy stuff that is not going to create income for you,
Hmm.
and the income that's going to pay back that debt is only your income that you're earning, and you're leveraging your future income, that can cause a lot of problems, right?
Hmm.
So, I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's pretend there's another guy on the show. His name is Steve. Um, how much money would you borrow from me if Steve was going to pay it back?
Oh man, yeah. I would a couple, at least a couple thousand.
You would only borrow a couple thousand. Steve's paying all of it back.
Everything back. Yeah,
He's paying
that's not
everything back.
yeah, a couple million. Let me change that. A couple million.
You you would the best answer would be as much as I possibly
Yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So because Steve is paying all of it back, right? So and that's how I want people to look at using debt. Like we got to make sure there's a Steve involved, right? I mean,
Man,
that's
yeah.
that's that's going to pay it back, and that Steve would be um the piece of real estate, the
Yeah,
business that
right,
you're purchasing or whatever is going to create that cash flow
right.
to repay the lender.
Mhm.
So that's that's you're able to magnify your wealth a lot quicker that way. So
How do
it's
you
just a different
work?
way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do you work people through the challenge that they don't feel like they know a Steve though? Like, let's say Steve was a rental property and it may be
Mhm.
affordable for somebody, but they may not feel like, hey, I know all the ins and outs of running a rental property. Maybe I have to, I don't know if I could hire the right property manager. I don't know what questions to ask. I don't know necessarily. I'm so focused on my lane and what I know. And this is something that I think a lot of former athletes, we fall victim of this because we've been so focused on one thing for so long is their confidence to where how do we find that Steve and have enough confidence to know that that money is going to come back in some kind of way.
Right. So hiring people, you gotta be okay with hiring property managers. If you're going to invest in real estate, you got to hire people. If you're going to have a business, you have to hire people, competent people that are going to help you out. You got to build a team, wealth advisor, tax professional, having good lenders,
Mhm.
people that are going to help you on that in that process. Because there's nobody knows everything.
Right.
um, I think everybody can learn something,
Yeah.
but it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth learning something just well enough to be dangerous and not enough to be good. I mean, I could probably learn how to change the brakes on my car, but
Yeah.
I don't.
I stay away
That's
from that too.
a little bit too. That's too much of a risk for me to save, like $100 or whatever. I'm bringing it to somebody who does brakes all day long, right? So,
One of the
um,
reasons I'm a Toyota lifer, by the way. So I got it certified, and anything goes wrong, I got the credit card Toyota. Y'all take care of that because
yeah,
I'm looking at that car.
that's a similar mentality where
Right.
you need to like be okay with not knowing everything and hiring having the right people help you.
Okay. All right, cool, man. And so, like, all right, when it comes to, and I have to ask you this because I, as a football guy, I'm always a little envious whenever I meet baseball people because you guys have a solid feeder system. When you're talking about, sports and merging, because you've already mentioned kind of the business and the sports and how this works. Do you work with or have any examples of where you're seeing like baseball merge with business and how you kind of advise people that want to build a sports program and build professional leagues and things like that?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, we have professional athletes
And
as
then
clients,
especially in
and
Tampa, well, Florida in general, there's a lot of minor league teams out here that I always because I'm in West Palm Beach, so I
mm,
right there with the Nationals minor league team and the Astros and all that. So
yeah, it's people live here, right? This is
right.
where a lot of athletes live or retire to, or And it's really, in my opinion, is really understanding that you need to learn and not you need to not go broke if you're a professional athlete. That should be like the main goal. I tell the people I work with,
That's
it's
simple,
not
right?
working with me is not going to like turn you into a billionaire tomorrow. It's your goal is to build and to recreate that income that you were making in the league, in other facets, and how to build your wealth because it feels like no matter how much you make, you can dwindle it pretty
Yeah.
quickly after the gladiator days are over.
Yeah, and you can even during when you're just not knowing, or like you said, you don't have the right team around you. You're what, 19, 20-year-old kid. You've been handed millions and millions of dollars. It is so easy to literally lose it just like that without really knowing where to put some of the money. And you go and you buy this. And now, geez, with NIL and the way it's in the college process and the whole thing, I mean, the people like you, Freddie, are so much becoming more of a need by the day, given everything that's going on in our NCAA system at the point right now.
And I definitely want people, we talk about athletes or what, I want them to have cool stuff. Like I want them to enjoy their life, and not save every penny. Like, and that goes for just anybody really. But it's how do you go about making sure that you're getting water from a well that's not going to dry up, right?
Right.
So after you have these big contracts,
Mhm.
you start buying real estate, start buying businesses,
Mhm.
and you use the income from those things, like
Yeah.
especially the real estate, to purchase the things that you want to, the things that are going to have you enjoy life, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
If cars are your thing, all right, let's go do that. But we're going to go buy the asset first before we go buy a liability, and we're going to have the asset pay for the liability. This way,
Exactly.
it's that constant income stream is still going to happen
Mhm.
after the game checks stop. So it's really about having people understand that that's the way you do it, and you may have to wait a little bit, but you
Yep.
don't have to wait forever. It's not like this far off thing. As long as you're okay with not having all of it right at the moment, and not having 20 things. If have a thing or two, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to spend money on something, but just don't have 20 things because that's gonna it's gonna deplete resources very very quickly.
Yeah, and I always use the example of George Foreman. A lot of people don't know, but that grill to this day, if I'm not, unless something has changed since maybe about a year ago, but he has been like the athlete that has made the most money off a product, and it was the George Foreman grill. And it was, if you really do the research, it was something that he had just signed, a little grill deal that he signed, and it turned into some massive, massive income for him. So a lot of things you never know what the thing is going to be that can create income. The bottom line is making sure it's creating the income and you're pulling it from there, not just pulling it because someone gave it to you, but it's already going here. The income's coming. Now I'm pulling it from there. Like you mentioned, it goes to, it could be, paying for your son's baseball stuff, for your daughter's cheer thing. It could be for you. It could be going on vacation, whatever
Mhm.
it may be, but pull it from the income element that you've already invested in. And I love how you say, saving doesn't really help you. It'll help you maybe get a nice wheelchair, later on in life. But by investing it, you can pull from it, and you'll have the security you need. And that's
If
really,
we're gonna play
yeah.
chess,
Hmm.
the reason why we save money is because lenders love it.
Yes, sir.
That is the key to saving money, in my opinion, in good accounts, good growth, all that stuff.
Right.
But it's when you can take your statement
Uh-huh.
and just plop it onto the lender's desk and say, I want to purchase this piece of real estate somewhere, but I don't want to use my money. I'll take some of it for the down payment, but I don't want to use my money. I want to use your money. Go back into that vault there and pull out some money, and we'll it's kind of like being a partner in a deal where
Hmm.
they're getting the interest. But remember, Steve is paying the interest, right?
Yeah.
Um, and and I'm going to get all the appreciation on the property. You're not going to get, we're not 50-50 partners in that. I'm getting 100% of that. And
Right.
I'm also going to get 100% of the depreciation
Hmm.
tax write-offs. You're not going to get any of that. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be able to depreciate your money, whatever the loan amount is.
Right.
So it is the game's set up very, very well.
Right.
The United States is set up so you can become wealthy.
Yeah.
You just have to have the right mindset and understand how the rules of the game, including taxes. Taxes is huge. Um, you don't have to be like a CPA to understand it. You just need to have some working knowledge to understand it and have a team that does.
Hmm.
So, but the tax code's like a guidebook on how to become wealthy in the United States.
Hmm. I mean, man, you're speaking my language, man. Let me tell you, I got to Florida 7 years ago. I was at a 400 credit score, and I just checked it but this morning. I'm above 700 at this point. And
Nice.
when you're talking lenders, when you're talking actually, getting loans, and like you had mentioned, appreciating, buying stuff that is going to appreciate. All of that is so on point because the lenders love that. They love to see the people that are responsible, and 1000% right. They look at this stuff. They look at the people who have shown a history of paying their bills on time or being just fiscally responsible and have that mindset. And when you get connected with them, again, it's set up for you to be successful. So, I do want to be very respectful of your time. Can you just tell people a little bit about, what's next? What do you see coming down the pipeline? Where's the future hold for your business?
Well,
It's
I am hopeful that, you
Opta,
know,
Opta Financial. Want to make
yes.
sure I mentioned
Thank you. Yes, the
it.
firm's called Opta Financial.
Opta
I'm
Financial.
hoping that people, that, again, my goal is to get the message out there, right, and have people understand that that chess is another game and it is possible. That's why I wrote the book, Playing the Wealth Game. It's
Mhm.
the goal of that book is for people to understand whether they are a checkers player or a chess player, and whether they want to switch. But also, by the end of the book, no one should be screaming at the moon anymore. Why do the rich keep getting richer and other people? It's because you're not playing the same game,
Yeah,
right? So, if
that's
and
clarity.
it's a scalable thing, right? So I played college baseball. I did not play in the major leagues, but the game was the same.
Same.
The scale was different, the expectations were different, but it was the same game.
Right.
Unfortunately, in finance, we have two different games going on right now, and we want to work with chess players, right? We want to work with people who have saved this, but they don't know what to do next, right? They're a little bit like, all right, I did everything they told me, the proverbial they told me to do, save a bunch of money. But I don't, and I'm making good money, but I'm not feeling it. I'm like, why
Yeah.
am I not able to do all the things that I wanted to do, right? Where it's because the income's not there, right? You haven't developed great income strategies yet.
Right.
So helping people by us managing the assets and then helping them purchase the cash flowing assets
Mhm.
to create that income, that's going to open up so many doors for them. That's it, and again, that's the red pill, the matrix red pill that
There
you
we go, baby. Yeah, that's I love
that
it,
you
man.
can't
I
go
think
over.
it's incredibly valuable. And one thing that I just have to say too is you're never too young to learn this stuff, guys. It is not going to be something that gets taught in the school system. You as an owner, as a business owner, or as a parent that's listening, it's your job to really give this information to your kids so they know it's never too early to understand the processes and the principles and just the overall landscape of how this money works, and at some point make money work for them. So,
Yeah, look at it for this way: there's like 300,000 financial professionals in the United States as some form of licensing.
mhm.
So if we had 300,000 people really helping people build wealth correctly, wouldn't the wealth gap shrink?
I know where you're going with that. Yeah.
Like it's expanding. It's getting like so few people are
Right.
just kind of running away with all of it.
Right.
And so if you need more evidence, I mean, like again, I'm you know going back to my police officer, life. It's like evidence-based mindset. Look around. Like,
Yeah.
is this might be what they're saying, but is that what they're doing?
Exactly. 1000. Man, make sure y'all go back and listen to that part because you're 1000, like, yo, if it was so many people were actually helping people, then again, you're gonna see a rise. But the wealth gap, it's separated, it's different, and you see it, you feel it. Like people feel it in their pockets, you feel it in their conversation, and just in terms of overall mindset, whenever you have these conversations with folks. So what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The best way is to go to the website optifinancial.com, and the first page will say schedule a consultation in the top right hand corner. I think it's in the middle of the page now. That's the easiest way. Just book a complimentary consultation with us. And Calendly runs my life now, so it's my boss.
Likewise.
So um,
Likewise.
and it's there's no judgments or anything like that. It's just, hey, going over what do you want? What do you want out of this? And whether or not you want to play checkers or chess. And people, if they want to read the book or listen to the book, it's on Audible before even contacting us. That's Playing the Wealth Game. It's on Amazon. So people can do that too if they want to learn a little bit more about me.
Okay, and we'll include that in the show notes as well. So, Freddie, the final thing I do to close out all the shows is want you to use your imagination a little bit. You're back in the D2, name the school again. You're back, D2 baseball player. You just
Mhm.
graduated. Your eligibility's up. You got to figure it out. Pretend that that version of Freddie has come into the Zoom room. Give him some words of encouragement, and we will officially close.
Yeah, just start as early as possible. Like just start doing things. If you're gonna screw something up, just screw it up early. It's a lot easier when you make a small mistake on a small thing, so you don't make that same mistake on a much larger thing. Like, so just and believe that you are worthy of becoming wealthy. That is it is okay. It's just going to amplify who you are. So if you love charity now, you're gonna be a much more beneficial to charities in the future by being wealthy. If you are a complete jerk, then you're just gonna be a bigger jerk.
Sure.
So that's how wealth just amplifies who you are. It doesn't change you.
Does not change. That's it. All right. So, all as promised to you, listeners, you get gems again, whatever it is you're going through, whatever the challenges, whatever the obstacle is, again, here to help you through it. Everyone out there, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.